Committee under the SDG Ghana section. And today we present to you the understanding the UN SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy. So quickly, let's go through the program outline. We will take note of our house rules, and then from then we go to the SPE Safe Start. We have our opening address, and then we introduce our speaker, and then the discussion will continue. Okay, so let's note these three things. Kindly mute your microphone. Kindly mute your microphone for us. And then if you want to ask a question or if you want to give any contribution, use the raised hand icon, or you can use the chat box. Yeah, depending on what you want. So up next, we have the SPE Safe Start. SPE Safe, and today we are dealing with fatigue management. Fatigue management. I remember I experienced this, I think yesterday or last 2 days, yeah. And it's a very serious something. And it's something that comes out when you have long work hours and you don't have enough sleep. So I recommend that you make sure to aim for about 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Yes, because if you don't do this, you are going to have frequent yawning. You'll be always zoning out and all that, which also increases chances of slip, trips, and equipment misuse. So let's take note of all this. We have to manage our workload and environment. Yeah, so let's take note of how to manage all these things. So quickly, let's move on. Okay, so I would like everyone to involve in this. Send any of this emoji reflecting how you are feeling right now, please. Within like 30 seconds, I want everyone to send this one of these emojis in the chat box reflecting how she or he is feeling right now. I'm waiting for you all. I think we have 17, including myself. We have 17 participants. Okay, okay. Osable to sent Joy, Miss Charity sent. I think it's Joy. Yeah, I'm waiting for you all. Within 30 seconds, I want to see how everyone is feeling, but I don't want to see something like disappointment, sadness. Nah. But let us know. Maybe we could help you. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Engineer Daniel. Okay. I'm seeing a lot here. Wow. Wow. Thank you all. Thank you all for taking part in this. Okay, so without wasting much time, we'll on to our move on to our opening address. Yeah. And to do that, the honors, we have Engineer Daniel Opon, who is the Deputy Chair for Career Guidance and Outreach Committee. Engineer Opon, please, if you are there, over to you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Good day and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining this webinar. We appreciate you taking time off your schedule to participate in this webinar that we've taken time to prepare for you. And you know that we are in an era where we are being very conscious about meeting sustainability goals. And many young persons in the energy sector do not understand what these sustainable goals and how it relates into the energy industry. So we decided to put this webinar together to, first of all, inform and educate, and also to empower young professionals as well as students to be to be very versed in the concepts and the notions of sustainability. And that can even help a lot of them have a tangent career in sustainability. So this is a very good opportunity for every one of us to be well informed, learn, and also, if possible, pivot if we want to do so. So let's get ready as we assimilate more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Engineer Bond. Thank you for such warm opening. From here, I think we can move on now to our main thing. Yes. So we have our speaker, Mr. Evans Frimpong from GMPC. And before that, I'll read his professional summary. So let's move together. Mr. Evans Frimpong is an ESG and sustainability professional with expertise in climate change management, institutional reporting, and energy sector governance. He currently serves as an officer in institutional reporting at the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, (JNPC), where he contributes to the preparation of key operational reports, facilitates multi-stakeholder engagement, and conducts industry analysis that supports transparency and strategic decision-making within the industry. Evans has played a central role in several of GNPC's high-impact initiatives, including the corporation's ESG framework and roadmap, social and livelihood enhancement programs, and integrated energy projects for low-carbon transition, and the data integrity and interactive dashboard, DIID, a digital transparency tool aimed at enhancing real-time monitoring and accountability. Beyond GMPC, Evans serves as an ESG advisor to Climate Mitigate Startup UK, where he supports ESG reporting, carbon credit project assessment, sustainability communications, and the development of digital climate tech solutions. His previous experience as an ESG reporting intern strengthened his capabilities in emissions analysis, social impact assessment, governance evaluation, and sustainability performance tracking. Evans holds an MSc in climate change management and finance from Imperial College Business School, an MSc in accounting and finance from the University of Ghana, and a BSc in disability and rehabilitation studies from the KNUST. He also holds professional certifications in ESG in the oil and gas sector, corporate secretaryship and governance, and feasibility studies. He is a member of the ESG Business Institute and offers guidance for the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distribution to align with Ghana's climate prosperity plan. Evans has a passion for advancing best practices in environmental, social, and governance performance across Africa's energy landscape. Wow. Mr. Frampon, please, are you there? Over to you, please.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, good day. I'm here and I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for the opportunity. And I would say that I didn't see the faces of you and that of Ebo Daniel upon.
Yeah.
Or we can still go ahead without seeing you. Yeah. Is that okay?
Oh, you can do that for us if you want to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this is me, a young man trying to impact society in ways possible. And I've started that by helping young professionals to realize their ambition and to also ginger them to take on high impact areas where they can also contribute to meaningfully to society. So I took a casual look at the participants and I realized that we are not doing well in terms of SDG 5. Don't think that we are talking about SDG 7, so we won't think about the others. I realized that the gender balance is not balancing, and that is quite interesting. I don't know if the women are not interested in our subject or they want to hear things about women empowerment. I don't know. I'm just asking. But I didn't waste much time on that. So I'll go straight to the PowerPoint presentation. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please. You can share.
Okay, so before I even go ahead, you might have heard that I'm from GMPC, but in this instance, I want to plead with you that don't see me in the lens of GMPC, and I'm not acting in the capacity of GMPC. I'm acting in the capacity of an ESG advocate and someone who is passionate about SDG goals. So just to let you know. I believe there are a lot of professionals here. Can you please see my screen?
No,
Okay, so a minute, please. Yeah. Can you see now? Hello.
yes, please. You can see now.
Okay, so I believe that we are having this engagement around lunchtime, and I wouldn't want to bore all of you much with so much talk. So I'll make it interactive as possible, and I'll plead with you for us to be more engaging so that we can move fast, and then also make sure that we go back to our daily lives. And I'll start by asking you to go through this icebreaker. So you can grab your phones and any particular device you can use to scan the QR code, or you can just go to menti.com on your device and then enter the code below, and then we can move on with it. So if you scan, you see a question, and I would want you to wait so that we all see the responses that we will see when we submit our responses, that they will show up on the screen. Okay. Have we been able to scan? I can see 7 participants who have been able to scan. So let's all endeavor to do so so that we can. But can you see my screen and the responses that are showing up?
Yes, please. We can see that.
Okay, that's fine. So we can go ahead to submit our answers. I'm seeing interesting answers so far. We can do more. Yes, we can do more. Good, good. I'm impressed with the answers. So we are about 18 or 19 online, and only 8 have been able to scan. Wow. Let's try and be part, okay? Because this is just going to introduce us to our discussion and understand that I'm also here to learn from you. I'm here to pick ideas from you. I have my notebook and my pen available here, so I'll be ready to also take your suggestions and recommendations for an improvement. So kindly help us to go through this exercise quickly so that we can wrap things up. Okay, I think I'll end that here and go back to the presentation, but I'm convinced with the answers you've given so far. And I must say that I was just waiting to see something like electricity in one of our answers, but unfortunately I didn't see that. So let's just move on with our presentation. So yes, you all bear with me that energy is an important element in human life where we cannot live without. I personally call it the invisible hero of human life. I mean, you can imagine yourself that trying to survive without energy for just one day, how would you feel? If you're unable to power your mobile devices, your laptops, your phones, your TV, fridge, any other thing. Imagine yourself, even in the heat that we experience these days. How would you feel throughout the day? It's no good. And I'm not sure everyone wishes for him or herself to be in that situation. So this is why it is important for us to have SDG 7. And you bear with me that energy is not just a sector. It's the foundation of our survival, and then it also helps to improve the quality of our life and then human progress. So it frees us from backbreaking physical labor and also multiplies our brain through the use of computers. And it also stretches our productive hours beyond daylight. And now, what we need to understand is that every energy source has its own setbacks. It has its own consequences. And you bear with me that some energy source like the fossil fuel, it has high emission of greenhouse gases, which is in effect affecting our universe these days. That's why we are experiencing extreme heat and also other forms of climate disasters. Let me take you a little bit through the background of SDGs, but I wouldn't go deeper into it because in 2015, the world said that we are replacing the Millennium Development Goals with something bolder, which is the Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the UN in 2015. And it sits at the heart of all SDGs. Without energy, the rest of the SDGs cannot perform to its maximum level. And this is to ensure that everybody has access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all by this deadline of 2030. If you look at our current situation now, we are in 2026. It means that we are barely 5 years to that deadline. And so we want to understand, since the beginning of this, how far have we performed? Where have we reached? And how far are we going? Are we on track to achieve it before the deadline, at the deadline, or we may need to even extend further to an extra 15 years or 10 years in order to achieve this? If we like it or not, we must make sure that we make conscious efforts to scale up our actions to meet this deadline or even beyond that. And the aim is to end poverty, protect the planet, and to also ensure that we all prosper in various areas. So let me take you through each of them one by one. Let me break it down for you. And I'll say that if you talk of SDG 7, it has been breaking down, or it has been broken down into 4 key areas. And it is divided into, if you were to do your thesis, you know how the sections are divided into, so sub areas where we have 7.1 up to 7.4. So for the 7.1, it talks about the universal access to modern energy services. This includes electricity and then clean cooking. If you look at access in itself, it doesn't necessarily mean that the availability of electricity or clean cooking sources is enough. But it goes further to tell us that we need to make sure that they are affordable, they are reliable, and also sustainable for its use or for end users. Because these days, or in previous years, we've witnessed so many doomsday incidents. Ghana has about 5,400 installed megawatt capacity, but the demand is not up to that level. We have we depend on around 4,000 megawatts. And these are heavily powered by fuels, heavy fuel oils, and also natural gas. And so we need to make sure that we have this in abundance so that people can easily access it in an affordable way. But mostly these fuels are subsidized by government, unlike the renewable energy sources. And the 7.2 also talks about our bid to increase the shares in renewable energy globally. Ghana, for instance, we are blessed with sunlight and also wind potential. So most of our renewable energy sources come from solar. And we are also trying to do our best to include wind farms, either onshore or offshore. And this is being driven by the energy sector. I believe various private companies are also doing their best to improve on this sector. If you look at our energy mix, renewable energy contributes the least amongst the rest. So that is it for renewable energies. But this is a global phenomenon. So globally, we are doing well. Please, can you see my screen? Because someone is complaining that he can't see my screen. Really? Please pardon me, I'm coming.
Yes, we can see.
Oh, okay. Let me share again, please. Can you see my presentation screen, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. So, sorry. Okay, so the aim or the third point is for us to ensure that we double the rate of energy efficiency. And the fact that we have access to energy, whether clean or unclean, doesn't mean that we should abuse the use. We should be able to use, and the higher the intensity, the lower the efficiency. So we must also scale up efforts to ensure that our policies direct the use of energy efficient materials. And I believe the Energy Commission is in charge of this and they are doing well in that area. So if you notice, we have fridges that have some yellow stickers attached to them. So it tells you the consumption level and how we are saving energy. I bet you can go to somebody's house today. No, no, I'm not comparing because some people may not be able to afford, but I mean, we have to do our best to ensure that we use appliances that do not put so much pressure on the little power sources that we are enjoying. And there was also an initiative to share clean cooking stoves somewhere 2020 by C for All. I believe that has also been rolled out and is going far to increase our sharing access to modern energy services. And the 7.4 also talks about our cooperation and then investment opportunities. So it's admonishing countries to partner with various institutions who have the capacity to improve our clean energy drive and to also invest in our efforts to increase the share of access and the availability of renewable energy and clean energy sources. So now, where do the global progress stand in terms of SDG 7? So, an app was developed by various institutions, which include the International Renewable Energy Agency and International Energy Agency, as well as World Bank. And the outcome as of 2023 remains that in the area of electricity, sorry, it remains that in the area of electricity, from about 1 billion people have no access to power. That is 2010 data. And then it came down to 759 million in 2019. And it also reduced further to 660 million as of today. And if we are not careful, I mean, if we scale up efforts, it could reduce further before the 2030 deadline. And if you look at the data very well, three-quarters of this is coming from sub-Saharan Africa. It means that the rural areas are contributing to the higher number of people who don't have access to electricity. Uh, I bet you if you give them access now, some people would still will still prefer to use the traditional sources of powering their rooms and even using charcoal and firewood in cooking. If you look at the statistics for clean cooking and technology sources, for instance, it reduced about 600 million from 2.7 billion to 2.1 billion from 2015 to 2023. Renewable energy also increased a bit, about 2.3% in terms of its access. So the share is somehow increasing and it's being driven by industrialization in various countries where they are producing components of renewable energy. And in the production process, they still use fossil fuels, which we are all fighting against. that we should be able to phase down, not entirely phase out, but to phase down because some of the production process requires high intensive energy to power them. So that's how come the pace is not that big, but at least we are doing our best. Yeah, so there's also the effort to increase the investment that goes into these, and we are also trying to reduce the intensity levels of energy efficiency. The global average is somewhere around 3.9 or so, and then various countries are doing their best in these areas. So before we move on, I would also ask us to take another activity. So if you can bring back your phones or your devices to scan the code so that we see the answers that will come out of it, and we'll proceed to the next slide. Let me share the presentation screen so that we can see the answers. Don't worry, you can still scan when I open it from there. Yeah. Can you see? Natalie, can you please, Natalia, sorry, can you please see my
Yes, please. I can see. We can see.
screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting some few responses. Can we do more? If there's any challenge at all, you can let me know. You can draw my attention to it so that we quickly work on it before we move on. Okay, so I think, yeah, so we may have to proceed. But while I'm waiting, I just want to draw your attention that upon all that we've seen with the global progress, we may need an investment of about $43 billion each year to be able to achieve Goal 7 by 2030 deadline. If not, we may have to extend it further. Okay. Okay. Let me share my presentation screen. Okay, so based on the answers, I can see that, I mean, most of us rely more on the grid, electricity. We are mostly connected to that, but I believe various individuals in their own way have solar powered source of electricity in their homes, and they should tell you what is going on with the use of that. I mean, you attest the fact that it's reliable and it's somehow reducing in value these days. So let's come back to Ghana. How are we doing in terms of SDG 7? So if you look at the electricity access, it stands at somewhere 89%, which shows that it's one of the highest in sub-Saharan Africa, that Ghana is doing our best. And if we're able to improve on it, we will become the leaders in this region, and then we would be able to draw others along if they are willing to, because this is a voluntary exercise, even though various countries are charged to do it, but it takes a lot to get to this level. And if you look at the clean cooking, we are not doing well at all in terms of the access. It's just 1/4 of the population of Ghana that have access to clean cooking. It means that we need to do a lot there, and it takes government effort and you and I to ensure that this area improves. Modern renewables make up to about 39% of our energy mix, which is a bit okay as compared to others. We have the ambition, though, to increase our installed capacity to about 1,363 in terms of renewable energy share. And when it comes to the energy efficiency bit, we are doing well as compared to the global average. So Ghana is well positioned, even though we are not doing well in terms of access to clean cooking. Everybody cooks and the source matters, but what matters most is to get access and to also get it in a reliable manner. We can share clean cooking sources to everyone, but if they don't have the means to purchase the fuels, for example, natural gas to power their LPG clean cooking sources, we are not achieving the aim of giving access to clean cooking to everybody. But I mean, we have to start from somewhere. And yeah, I think Ghana is in the right direction, just that we need to scale efforts in this area, and then we'll be able to achieve more. Why does SDG 7 matters at all? Someone will ask why. Why do you think SDG 7 matters? Is there anybody who can share his or her own idea in the chat box? Anyway, while you are doing that, let me just go straight to the point. So, climate issues have become very important in our current world now, and then energy production, as I said, is the main driver of our climate change contribution, and greenhouse gases are very harmful to our lives and it causes a lot in the atmosphere, scientists say. So, per what scientists say, they are the main reason why our climate keeps changing. We have flash floods and other things happening in various countries. And so, if we're able to change our energy sources, if we're able to have clean energy available, all these things will be dealt with in its own way. So, the more we increase efforts in doing away with this, they say dirty fuels, the better for you and I. Even in Ghana here, if it rains in Accra, if we should have one heavy rain now, a lot of people's homes will be displaced, and this is not a good thing. And so we need to make sure that SDG 7 is well implemented and then shared across everywhere for all of us to have access. And this will improve our lives in so many ways. And one thing also is that SDG 7 has a domino effect. Like I said, it's the bedrock of all the other SDGs. If you have reliable sources of power, health facilities will operate in a very efficient manner. Education, people will get lights to study, people will get lights to charge their resources. And this will also go a long way to improve economic growth. During the times where we had doom, so a lot of businesses couldn't operate, and this brought about economic crisis. And so if we have a stable and reliable power, we will be able to improve in terms of our economy. And if you look at the status now, globally, the world is moving towards cleaner energy. You bear with me. There's energy transition conversation everywhere, and some countries are doing their best in this area. So, if we're able to also implement SDG 7 well, we'll be able to meet the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris Agreement targets in some way, if not for the deadline stipulated. We can do it beyond that. And so SDG 7 matters in various ways. It helps us to eradicate the problem of climate change and also to improve our health and other sectors of our lives. I think we need to go through another exercise to see the challenges. Sorry, let me share my other screen. Okay. So if you have been able to scan on a scale of 1 to 8, how important do you think clean energy is for Ghana's future? I've seen a couple of electric vehicles around these days, and I think it's a good start. And we are doing well, but the only shape these cars into Ghana complain of high taxes. For us to move into something cleaner that will save our environment and our human health, we should rather incentivize them to bring it more rather than to impose taxes that goes a long way to discourage them. So if you have been able to scan the code, let me hear your response, or let me see your responses on the screen now. I wish people could share their reasons for selecting 1 to 4 in the chat box so that we see why you think clean energy is not good for Ghana's future. Can you please share your thoughts? Please, do you see my presentation screen? Natalia, can you see my presentation screen? Hello? Okay, so I mean, based on the responses I received, I can say that if we're able to um, go in a very clean way as a country, we will live a good life and we'll improve on our health and other aspects of our economy. But in doing this too, it comes with a lot of challenges, and some of them include financial barriers. In fact, there is high cost of capital for renewable energy infrastructure. So in my own study and other forms of exploring the best ways to go about things, I realized that we don't really have any industry here that could produce or manufacture renewable energy components. The policies are there. We have various policies available to support um, institutions, groups that are willing to bring their expertise to fore in that area. So one thing that is most important is the awareness. People should know that these things are available and then we can take advantage of. But for now, we don't have any financial muscle to go on that particular tangent. And it comes with high rates of interest. There's high interest rate on these things. So investors who are willing to, or people who are willing to go and in this area face that challenge of high interest. Nobody is willing to do anything that will bring additional cost or loss in the end. So that's one of the challenges we are facing as a country, even though we have a plan according to the renewable energy master plan targets to get to 1,363.6 megawatts through the use of or through the share of renewable energy. But if we are not able to get financial flows from external parties, this may drag a bit. And if you look at our consumption costs, like I said earlier, most people want to rely more on subsidized fuels rather than um, other forms of more investment or build capacity in-house to be able to achieve this on our own so that it will reduce the consumption cost. And now, if we look at the current status, we can say that based on the investment levels, it is unlikely for us to meet the full SDG targets by 2030 timeline as a country, even though we are doing our best in various areas. But we can't just do others and ignore the rest. We have to do it together in order to achieve a common goal. So yes, that's it for the challenges. But there are other opportunities available that you and I can get into, and this include grid modernization. I would say that the onus is not only on the government for it to do everything. You and I, in our own way, can develop ideas that can be solved through our expertise. So in terms of policy, we can improve in that area, but there's also green financial sources available. We have sustainability linked bonds that can also sponsor some of these clean energy efforts. And like I said earlier, there's some considerable number of EV cars coming into the system, and people are really buying into this idea, even though it has its own challenges. But I believe that if we scale up efforts in this area, we will get there. And manufacturing, also, I mentioned earlier, we need to develop manufacturing and supply chain for solar components and other things. I heard that there's one company available in Ghana that is operating solar power components, and they are doing very well in that area. So they may need government support in order to scale it up to a certain level because we have sunlight in abundance. Just yesterday, I had calls with few people and they were complaining that it's too hot these days. It's too hot these days. So it means that we need to tap into that sunlight to create energy from it to help with our consumption demands. I wanted us to do another activity, but I'll skip that and then we'll go straight to the call to action. So, what is expected of you and I as young professionals, as students? What can we do to help SDG 7 in its achievements? One thing that I believe in. So, if you look at my profile, I've been working with a startup company in the UK and they are into carbon credits. So, it's a different area if you compare it to this. But what I want to understand is that the edge is there, the market is there, people are willing to modernize or bring their ideas into action, and so they want to start in a little way and pitch their ideas to investors that are available to sponsor such ideas. And I've not really seen that much in Ghana here, but we can start from somewhere. I know of Ghana Climate Change, something that helps young people with who have innovative ideas. So if you bring your idea, you pitch it to them, they take it through an incubation process, and then they help you with finance in order to build on such ideas. We should also encourage ourselves to do more research. Even in our final year thesis, whether PhD, master's, or the basic, the bachelor's level, we can venture our energies into renewable energy areas, carbon capture technologies, or any other innovative ideas that can merit your research prowess. So SP is doing very well in terms of advocacy. I mean, bringing expertise in this area to share their thoughts for young professionals to pick up on them and to also learn from their experiences is a good thing. And this advocacy will go far to inform people of the new area that the world is moving. Everybody is talking about energy transition. If I believe that most of the people on this call have done one or two courses in that area, and it's a good thing to do. And I believe that we can also share ideas or knowledges in a small way to the group we find ourselves. Even your home, you can do something little to help in advocacy and to also work in the technical area so that we can boost our industry processes. It's a key thing that I believe Ghana, if not lack, we are not taking advantage in that area. We have various young people who are technically gifted. They have the ideas, they have the capacity to do whatever it takes to bring solution to various problems, but we are not tapping into those areas, and it's becoming a challenge. But these are areas that you and I can contribute our energies to, and it will bring a lot of change to this country and the world at large. So to conclude, in fact, we are lacking in terms of universal energy access, even though we are doing well, but we can do better to um, give access to electricity and then to also help people get cleaner cooking sources. Because others use the charcoal and wood in their cooking, about 2.4 million, or I think 4 million people, according to World Health Organization, are reported to have died or developed some form of uh, sickness by poor air quality or air pollution through this traditional ways of cooking, and it doesn't speak well to our health. So we can do better to improve on, and mostly this come from the rural areas as compared to the urban areas, and it's very challenging. But if we're able to improve access, we'll do better, and then we'll all enjoy the universal energy access. We need to also increase our renewable energy share if we want to achieve the SDG 7. We need to also improve on our energy efficiency levels. Personally, I check the devices I use, so I always make sure that it's within the environmental recommended energy consumption level, so that you don't abuse the little energy that you are enjoying. Some others are not getting that, so we should be considerate. And we should also avail ourselves to financing structures, or we should be able to assess certain financial opportunities so that we can bring our ideas into action. Ghana, for instance, need to build infrastructures that will support these SDG goals, so that in the end, we will say that indeed we wished for a green city, and all our energy sources are clean, and that we have good health, and we are also developing our economy. SDG is not just about green energy, it is about equity and development. So this is where I'd like to end my presentation. And thank you so much for your attention. And thank you for denying your lunch just to listen to what I have to say. And I'm glad that you understood SDG 7 in a very, I mean, nice way. So thank you. Over to you, Natalia. I'm happy to listen to questions, suggestions, and anything that we can discuss briefly.
I think Nathaniel is off the call, so if any member of the career guidance can take over from her.
Hello, Daniel. If you're available, can you please take over?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Evans, for your insightful presentation on the SDGs. I believe the members over here have learned a lot. So we'll now open the floor to questions. Please, if you have any question, you can please unmute and then ask your question, or you can ask it in the chat box, and we will we will do all to read it out to the presenter for a feedback. Yeah. So now the floor is open for questions, suggestions, any ideas on what we've heard so far today. Yeah. Understanding the SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. Hello, team. The floor is open for Q&A. All right. Let me ask this question. Mr. Evans, do you really think at this point Africa can match the pace at which the SDG 7 is being implemented? For example, the pace at which the West is implementing their SDGs, i.e., the access to clean energy. Do you really think Africa currently should follow that roadmap, or we should create a unique one that will be unique to us? I don't know if you get my question.
Yes, I get your question. And it's just interesting because I've been having this conversation with my bosses. And what I think personally is that we can get to that level if we are well resourced. Naturally, we are gifted with certain resources that we need to tap into. We have natural gas available. We have various sources. Even we have lithium mineral available, but ask yourself, how are we, developing in this particular area? How are we tapping these resources and then developing them into useful means of making our energy very clean? We don't have the expertise. So if we have the resources available, if we have the financial capacity, we are in a very good way to reach the deadline. We are not in a race with anybody. So I've always said that we should go in the pace that we feel. However, we should also seek for available resources or additional resources that can help us um, produce from our gifted resources, and then being we'll be in the leading role, and then we also join the other countries or regions that are doing well in this area.
All right. Thank you very much for your feedback on this question. Team, the floor. Okay. A question in the toolbox. Sorry, in the chat box from Nana Kofi. Nana Kofi says that most Ghanaians still rely on wood or charcoal for cooking, leading to air pollution. What is being done to make LPG more affordable than charcoal? In fact, in addition to this question, there are certain foods like banku you can't cook using LPG. So, if you can address this question for us, thank you.
Come back again. You said there are various foods you can do what?
So, for example, if you want to drive banku, right? In the olden days, they use the coal pot, right? And then it makes it
Yes.
effective for driving. Yeah. So I just wanted it to tie to this particular question, if it is possible.
It's, it's interesting and it's funny. You can do anything if you
On the LPG,
have
right?
clean cook stove.
Oh, I see.
Not only LPG. Like, I mean, if you have clean other things, you can still drive your banku. And they should also encourage you to reduce the number of times you eat banku.
Ha ha
If
ha.
it will be.
Okay.
But trust me, Tea for all. You can check their website. They partnered with an international organization to supply a considerable number of clean cook stoves to the rural areas. And I believe that if they're able to get it, or if they get access to those clean cook stoves, it will change their lives, trust me. And it will reduce the number of wood or charcoal that we use for cooking. Like you said, people are comfortable with the way they do things. For example, if you send clean cook stove to some rural areas now, they may even use it as a tool to sit on it and even power their charcoal, which they are familiar with. That is why more education needs to go in there, more advocacy needs to reach them so that they will understand the effects that these charcoal and other sources bring to them. And then they will resort to the use of LPGs, like you said. And they have to be trained in them so that they can use it.
Okay. All right. Any other question? Any other question? Contribution? The floor is open. You can unmute and then ask your question. Okay. Someone is also asking, since Ghana is an oil and gas producer and we depend largely on it, how does the government balance its short-term economic interest in fossil fuel extraction with its long-term commitment under SDG 7 to increase the share of renewables? Is there a risk of a lock-in effect? Is Ghana ready for the transition? From Michael Kwame.
Okay, that's a good question. But what I would say is that Ghana is interested in the energy transition and it's a global phenomenon. It's not everybody who is willing to give up their fossil fuel for renewable energy sources. So one thing Ghana is doing well is that we've signed up to the updated nationally um, determined contributions, and this is a good step in terms of policy wise. And beyond that, we've also come up with energy transition framework, which directs the energy sector to incorporate certain things in their work programs, in their bid to transition to renewables to help them. And you see, we need to understand our carbon footprint as a country. How are we emitting as compared to countries like UK, China, Germany, who is doing well in renewable energy sources, is also the highest emitter of greenhouse gas with the blend of coal and other clean energy sources. So, like they say, cut your coat according to your size. We can get there. We can do it, but we should also look at our carbon emission sources or our carbon footprint. How intense are we emitting into the atmosphere? And what are the ways that we can use to reduce them? Now, Ghana has a partnership with Switzerland where they are into carbon trading. So Ghana supply them with carbon credits so that they also give us money in return. We say that we have the forest in abundance, we have this in abundance. So if you think you are emitting high in your region, come to us. We will use some of our available carbon sequestration efforts to offset what you are emitting, and that comes at a cost. So we are doing well, and I trust me, we can progress well with SDG 7. And the government, through these policies, have shown commitment that it's ready to transition. No matter the availability of oil and gas, it's still in trade. It's still in trade. That's why I said earlier that we haven't committed to the fact that we are phasing out. We are phasing down. And before we get there, we need to extract the available resources we have.
Mm. Okay. Thank you very much for this. Yeah. Michael is saying that he's okay with your answer. Any question before we bring today's webinar to a close? Any suggestions, any views, any opposing views, any strong views you want to share with us? Okay. I think we all agree. Okay. Maxwell also has the hand raised. Maxwell, please ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, please ask your question.
I want to ask Mr. Evans a very simple question. Does that mean that in Ghana, those companies who are into manufacturing and then the mining companies who tend to emit more CO2, does that mean that the state has policies where they pay for what they emit in the ozone layer? Or is it because we have room to operate? I mean, anyone can just emit whatever CO2 that, I mean, their processes tend to bring it out.
Thank you for the question, Maxwell, my own brother. And thank you for joining the event. I mean, you and I have been having discussions backstage, and I'm glad that you brought this question up. If you would remember, not to do any politics here, but at some point in time, a certain vice president brought up the idea that we should introduce an emissions tax. So this was to deter companies from emitting to a certain level, because whatever you emit, that will contribute to air pollution and affect the health of people. You may have to account for that and you have to pay for that. And the introduction of that was supposed to discourage companies from emitting, and even the cars that we use from emitting such gases into the air. But it received the necessary backlash from our own people, because some people thought that we are not well positioned to introduce such a tax. But there are various ways to go about it. For now, there's no existing policy that says that you should pay for the damage you are doing to the air or to the society. So I believe going forward, we should take it up upon ourselves to inform policymakers on how to go about these things, and then it will bring them to their toes. And companies are also accepting ESG frameworks these days. And ESG also tells you that you shouldn't pollute the environment. So I believe that they are all trying to bring up initiatives that will help them mine sustainably so that it doesn't affect the environment. I hope you understand.
Yeah, it's very clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Maxwell, for your question. Team, any other question before we draw today's meeting to a close? Okay. I think we've done about let me see. We've done about 1 hour 40 minutes of taking your lunch. So on on behalf of the section officers and the entire members of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Ghana section, I would like to thank Mr. Evans for sharing his lunchtime with us. We are so much grateful for sharing your expertise with us, and thank you. We will definitely be reaching out more to engage you in this area and other areas of interest to our members. So thank you very much, Mr. Evans, for indulging us today.
Thank you,
We are so much
SPE.
grateful.
I'm grateful for this opportunity. Let me use this opportunity to also thank my brother Yao Kudia Sapon, who introduced me to SP. He's doing well.
He's on the call as well. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all you do for SP. We are so much grateful. We are so much grateful. Yeah, I don't know if you want to say something. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, and please be on the lookout for our other activities that will be rolling out the upcoming week and in the months. In May, we have our major events, the Ghana International Summit and Exhibitions. We have delegates all across Africa and across the world, all converging in Accra, Ghana. So please be on the lookout. You can go on our website, spghana.com. All the information you require is over there. You can also reach out to any of the section officers, Yao, Daniel, myself, anyone on the call, if you have any question concerning the SP Ghana session. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Do have a lovely rest of the day. To our Muslim brothers and sisters, please, happy festivities as you bring your fasting to a close. Thank you and have a good day. Cheers, everyone. Bye.